What's up, guys? We're back. Man, I'm excited for this conversation. I was just telling Isar, who's our guest here today, I've been really wanting to talk AI with somebody because I'm really stupid about it, but it excites me to death. And all the use cases seem really cool. So, and you guys know me, I like putting money in things like this. So this gets me really interested in seeing what we can do. So Isar, first off, say what's up to everybody and we'll hop into the questions. Yeah.
Great to be here. Great to hopefully can provide as much value as I can to anybody listening.
Yeah, you'll do fine. It'll be great. Isar, guys, as you probably heard in the intro, this guy's a podcaster, 4-time CEO. He kind of knows what he's doing, and we just had a great conversation before this, so I know we can banter, which is always important. So, Isar, I want to ask you a question. You may not have been expecting this one, but I'm just genuinely curious. Okay, most tech guys are awkward, and most of them are they're techie is probably the best way of putting it, right? They're so techie that they can't relate. But you're a guy who's in IT, who becomes a podcaster and is actually the CEO of the company. Like, how do you juggle that personality wise? I mean, that's what just interests me. I'm just kind of curious if you've ever analyzed yourself deep enough on that.
Wow, that's a tough one. I never had that before. That's a good question. The truth is, I'm not really a techie. I'm more of a entrepreneur CEO kind of guy who just really, really likes tech. So I've never studied computer engineering. I've never written a line of code in my life. I just understand it very, very well. I do, even in the early days. But after running, being in leadership positions in tech startups for 20 years, you kind of learn how to speak the language. But at the core, I'm more of a people's person, strategy thinker. That just really likes tech. Like even the whole AI stuff happened, I more or less stumbled into it because, this is like so cool. And I started playing with it and people started asking me for advice and help, and it kind of happened.
So interesting. So you consider yourself entrepreneur first, tech guy, maybe second, third, or maybe not even at all.
Absolutely.
That's interesting. That's actually really interesting because we were having this conversation before, and what intrigues me about entrepreneurs in general, right, is that sometimes we get called to it and sometimes we work towards it, right? You think about like the lifetime doctors. I mean, I'm actually a great example of this. I'm a 6th generation entrepreneur. So it was just like bred into me. I still went to college and stuff because I wanted to get married and I wanted to beat my older brother, right? Because I wanted to be better than my older brother. So I got one degree further than him. I got my MBA. And if he ever gets his MBA, I'm gonna get my PhD just to give him crap, right? Because he like thrives off of his degree and he probably is listening to this catching on now. But I was kind of like bred to be it, and then other people just kind of happened to them. And it sounds like that's where you were at, where just you were kind of called into it and people started asking you to help. Is that true?
Yeah, on the AI stuff for sure. Like, the previous companies, each one had his own trigger of why or how it happened. But the AI I left my previous business just over a year ago, so October of last year. And I must admit something, that I was never a good next step planner. Like when I left businesses, either when they got sold or after they got sold and I didn't like the new setup and I left, it was never, there's this amazing opportunity, that's why I'm leaving. It was, I'm going to leave and then something interesting is going to happen. And I've done that several times in my career.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that's why my career has been a huge variety that are unrelated things. People try to stay in their industry because they got the knowledge and the people and the relationships. And I literally turned 90 degrees every single time. Just because something interesting happened. And this time I left at the end of October, end of November, ChatGPT shows up and I'm like, oh my God, this is an amazing toy. Started playing with it. And it was really a very quick but gradual few steps. So people starting asking me for advice, me starting doing consulting. A company I'm an investor in are doing cohort-based training. So they're like, do you know anybody who can teach an AI course? And I'm like, I can do it. It's like, what do you have to do this? Anything? You just left a company doing, podcast marketing. I'm like, I'll do it. It's like, okay, I trust you. And so one thing led to the other, and here we are now 12 months later, and I've got an agency that's doing really well.
Yeah, that's so cool. What podcast marketing company were you with?
So we weren't very big because we're doing something that was very niche. And what we were doing, the company was called Be the Stage. And what we were doing is the idea was to do live shows and not just regular podcast production. Because as you know, There's a big difference than doing stuff live, because then you can really
Very much so.
build a relationship and a real community. People start becoming regulars, and you get your regular jokes. And now people who just listen want to be a part of the gang. It's like
Right.
sitting with a cool gang at the back of the bus, right? Everybody wants to be a part of it.
Yeah.
So it grows an actual community, which builds a much better, stronger relationship base versus just going podcasting. The other thing is it gives you amazing feedback, because you know what
Yeah.
people are asking.
Yeah. That's, I'm a firm believer in that. Firm believer in that. We actually used to go live pretty frequently because it was so, again, so the real time feedback was super helpful, especially because people would always make fun of me for my giggle. So they're like, stop laughing. Sorry, guys, can't help that one. That's really interesting. So, I mean, you're coming from a career of multiple companies where you were coming in from a tech perspective, but you were an entrepreneur first. But when you're coming into it, right, like you decide, hey, I'm gonna jump into AI because ChatGPT was so cool. You jumped into it, which most people will be like, you missed the boat, right? So I'm just kind of curious, like, you obviously don't think you've missed the boat, but like, and I don't think you have either. I'm not a big believer in that ever. But my point being is, like, why then did you decide, hey, I'm going to go full bore into AI?
So I would say two things. Number one is this technology is going to change everything we know. And if anybody still doubts that, then wake up. And again, I'm relatively old, so I've seen the tech boom in the 2000s, and I've seen its collapse, and I've seen the, crypto craze, and I wouldn't say collapse, but kind of like it cooled down dramatically. And
Yeah.
then now this is, and everybody, well, it's just another one of those. It's not. It's insane, and it's literally changing already, and it's going to change everything that we know, other than, and maybe including mowing your grass, right? Like literally everything we know is going to have AI built into it one way or another. And if you figure this out, you're going to have, first of all, as a first mover, a huge advantage in the next year and a half to 2 years. And then afterwards, if you'll just have a better implementation than other people, you will still maintain an advantage over your competition. So that's reason number one, that I jumped in. Reason number two, as you mentioned, I'm a tech startup guy. My real passion is software development, and understanding that the ability to develop software that can do things that was not possible before, or that was very, very hard and stupidly expensive to do before, is not that anymore. And you can solve problems for companies that were, again, either unsolvable or just with a very bad ROI, so nobody would do it, is now
Right.
possible and has an incredible ROI. And me being able to be that bridge for companies. So come in, analyze their needs, figure out what kind of AI tech software solution can make them significantly more efficient and or significantly more profitable, makes it really, really exciting to me and to my clients. And so that's the real passion about it. And that will never go away, right? So AI just adds another layer on top of what we could do with software so far, which makes it faster and more attractive to most companies.
Yeah. And this is one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on, because that intrigued me so much about this, is that half it's because of my own curiosity, but I look at a lot of businesses, in the sub-$1 million range, because most of the people listening to this show, right? And they look at AI like it's this high in the sky, like, deity that they can barely tap into. It's like, well, Gary Vaynerchuk's telling me that if I go into ChatGPT and say, hey, make me $1 million, it'll just go do it. Then they go try it, it doesn't work. And they're like, oh crap, well, why didn't it work? Right. So they're looking at like these super high level solutions versus like what you can actually do on the day to day. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to bring you in, is like, so being a business in the digital space, so you're a coach, you're an e-commerce, you're doing some sort of physical product or a community or something, right? Like, how can that person implement AI and leverage that AI to actually grow their business quicker? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I will say it really, when I think of businesses, and that's something I didn't make up, I've learned from somebody very interesting. His name is Mike Volpe, and he was the original CMO of, oh my God, brain dead. The CRM company.
Go High Level?
No, that is not
No.
Salesforce. It will come HubSpot. So he was the original CMO of HubSpot, Mike Volpe. But basically, he's saying a business from a numbers perspective is actually very, very simple. You have average cost of acquisition, CAC on one side, and you have lifetime value on the other side. Your goal,
Right.
and in the middle, you have operational cost, right? Your goal
Right.
as an owner of a business is to try to reduce the cost of acquisition, increase the lifetime value, and if you can, at the same time, reduce your operating cost. That's it, 3 numbers. Like, oh, that makes business a lot simpler, right? So
Right.
really AI supports all 3 aspects. And it's one of the first time ever you can actually do all 3 things, because usually like, okay, you want more lifetime value, invest more in marketing, so your cost of acquisition goes up. And sometimes operational costs and so on. So it's the first time really in history that technology enables you to do acquisition better. So how do you do acquisition better in a small business that does around $1 to $2 million? You can personalize everything. So you can pinpoint your target audience much better than you can ever done before just by using ChatGPT for research. And then you can build AI into everything that you do as far as automations and messaging and emailing and touch points, which could be on social or WhatsApp or whatever. You can literally use automation tools like Zapier or NA10 or Make and combine it with an API from ChatGPT. And I know it sounds, oh my God, what the hell is API? It's these things now work out of the box. You can now, if you're in a business that size, you're probably using Zapier. Zapier now connects to ChatGPT. So you can, instead of just doing an automation and sending everybody the same exact message when they're in step 1 of your funnel, you can send them a message that will be written by ChatGPT per the definitions of that particular individual. So on the acquisition side, you can get a better targeted audience, better analysis of who exactly you want to target. You can analyze all the history of your messaging and how people responded and which proposals that you've written actually materialized and which one didn't. So take all your proposals, literally as they are, load them to ChatGPT and say, these ones won, these lost. Tell me what are the biggest differences between them.
Wow. You can do it through ChatGPT?
Yeah. $20 a month. And you got a data analyst better than anybody. Well, not anybody I'd ever hired. I had some pretty good data analysts. If you're listening, then
it's pretty interesting. It can do it faster than anybody you know.
So it's stuff like that that is extremely powerful on the first step, right? On lowering acquisition costs, because you can be more targeted, more personalized with everything you're doing. On the operational cost, literally everything you're doing can be improved from an efficiency perspective with the usage of AI tools, whether it's writing emails, working with clients, analyzing data, writing proposals, creating presentations. So I'm a consultant right now, right? In addition to creating software, I'm consulting to businesses.
Yeah.
A lot of the work that I'm doing, writing the initial proposals, I'm doing together with ChatGPT. Analyzing the initial data I'm getting from them, I'm doing with ChatGPT. Writing the reports, I'm doing with ChatGPT. So stuff that used to take me 10 hours takes me an hour and a half. So I just saved 8.5 hours, which means I can have 4 more clients and still invest less of my time, giving them the same level of work. So it's not that I'm compromising the quality. It just enables me to do the same quality and sometimes better in significantly less time. Editing the podcast. So you and I are podcasters. We've been for a while. The overhead of a podcast scares a lot of people away because, I can do this. It's a great way to build relationships, but the whole overhead is a nightmare. Well, that nightmare almost doesn't exist right now with the usage of AI. Like between editing, chopping it off, creating micro content that you can distribute in the right format to the right channels, all of that is either 100% automated or very close to that. So that's on the operational.
$10 an episode now versus $2,000. Yeah.
And
that's interesting.
So on the operational side, you can lower operating cost on almost everything that you do. And even if you take people that do, stuff that is brick and mortar stuff, or they're not a digital business, there's still a lot of stuff that is digital. There's still a lot of research. There's still a lot of data analysis. There's still a lot of marketing to be done. And even if you take, you have a landscaping company. Oh, a lot of it has nothing. Well, you're still driving places. You can use ChatGPT to optimize your routes. You can use
Crazy.
AI tools to better your scheduling of your teams. So it's these kind of things that are now available at, $20 a month, or if you have 5 of these tools, $100 a month. It's practically free for a business. You can do all these kind of things. And then on the lifetime value, you can build new offers that you didn't think about before, literally by asking ChatGPT, saying, hey, I'm in this kind of business. These are the kinds of clients that I have. These are the services or the products that I'm selling to them right now. What else can I sell them that they might be interested in? Give it specific examples. Share with it your competition, what they're doing, and it will give you amazing advice. Now, you said something that is very, very important. A lot of people try something like, Gary Vee told me that I can make $1 million with ChatGPT, and I tried and it didn't work. It's a tool that requires you to go through the process. It's a chat.
Right.
Think about it as an incredible consultant. If you're going to sit with a great consultant for 15 minutes and expect him to change your business around, you're delusional. If you're willing to spend enough money to sit with a good consultant for 20 hours, 40 hours, you have a good opportunity of changing your business around. Well, now you have this consultant for $20 a month. But you have to understand that it's a process. You got to give it data. You got to ask the right questions. You got to ask it to ask you the right questions. You got to have that conversation to really get the benefits. But they're at anybody's fingertips right now, and for a very, very small amount of money.
See that. Wow. Thank you. That was like 10 good nuggets right in a row. So I hope people are like rewinding this and like writing those down. That changed my whole way of thinking around this, around ChatGPT. Because to me, I've been thinking about it as like an assistant, right? Hey, I'm going to ask my assistant to these things. Like for me, my assistant is like, I'm sorry, Clarice, but like she's the grunt work, right? She'll see this. She does a lot of the grunt work. Hey, go find this list, go book my travel, blah, blah, like does all these different things. But it's thinking about it the wrong way. You're talking about like, even if that shift for me of going, well, I've paid consultants, $250,000, $500,000 to do something for me. And if I thought about it that way, what did those consultants do for me? Oh, they gave me a whole 1-day intensive. And then an hour a week we were spending together and they were asking me 1,000 different questions. So if I were to treat ChatGPT that way, all of a sudden I could be solving a lot of my big problems by, man, that's freaking brilliant.
I'll help you make it even more specific. So each and every one of us have the people that they follow, that they consider gurus on specific topics, that have written books that we operate our businesses by, right?
Right.
There's all the big names, Ferris, Jim Collins, whoever you follow, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You can ask ChatGPT to say, I want to run my business based on EOS. Here's the book. I want you to answer me when I ask you questions just based on this book or in these 2 books. That's it. Ignore anything else. And it will. And it will give you
like, look at that is insane. That is insane.
So now you can have an EOS strategic consultant for your business for free, just by referring only to traction. Like, I don't want to hear anything else. Or if you follow Jim Collins, okay, here's 5 books that I really like from Jim Collins. I want you to answer me questions about my business only based on these 5 books. You're now Jim Collins. And it will. So it's these things. Now, take it to the next level. You can have a advisory board with anybody who has written stuff that you want to follow. So you're not just asking Gary Vee or Tim Ferriss or whoever. You have 5 or 6 people, and you refer different questions to each one, and then you brainstorm with all of them. And you can do that. And what I just said would have cost you $1 million an hour to do, and you can do it. Now, will it be as good as these people? Probably not. Will it give you incredible insights and advice for $20 a month? Absolutely, yes. And so with that mindset, and yes, it can be your assistant. It can help you research travel, and it can write emails for you and check your calendar to make sure it can do all of that. But the big deal is the ideation ability, because this thing has read every single research, every single business book, every single white paper that was ever written and is available digitally. And if you focus it to the ones you care about, pure gold.
Dude, unbelievable. That's cool. And you just gave me a podcast idea while we're sitting here. So I'm going to ask all the same questions I ask you. I'm just going to ask it to ChatGPT, and that's going to become an episode of this week. Totally going to do that.
So funny story. When it just came out, when I decided to launch this new podcast. So I had another podcast, was called Business Growth Accelerator. It was just general tips for entrepreneurs. I stopped recording it around May, but I started recording this one around April. My current podcast is called Leveraging AI, and it's all about practical tips for business people on how to use AI. When I started recording Leveraging AI, I was like, oh my God, what if I interview ChatGPT? And so it was March or April, I've interviewed ChatGPT for the podcast. And it's such a cool episode. It's like, and it blew me away, right? Because you're talking to a machine, but it's actually interacting with you, and it's throwing funny jokes, and it was amazing. So yes, you can absolutely have ask ChatGPT and to work in the podcast with you.
I'm gonna have to listen to your show, but I'm like, how do you get it to like stay back to you what it's doing? You're freaking blowing my mind here, and this probably feels like elementary to you, but I'm like, to the average marketer like me, right? Like, I consider myself entrepreneur first, marketer second. That's who I am as a person. But a lot of these AI tools are just kind of crap. Like a lot of the people that do them, and they're just really basic. And I think, especially based off like what you're telling me and what I've just kind of assumed, is it's because their model's not strong enough of like how they're actually presenting the information to ChatGPT to get, because like whatever you input is the quality of outputs you're going to get out of it, right? That's just basic life, honestly. Yep. But yeah, that's super interesting. So I'm going to give this call to action to everybody. Like, first off, he's got a course. Okay. He's always got a super sweet course you got to go buy. It's all about this. Go listen to his podcast first off, but go buy the course. Go to multiplai.ai/AI-course. And you can use the promo code Titan to be able to actually buy this course for $100 off. It's literally $1,000 course, guys. I can't believe you're pricing it this cheaply for what you just told me. I'm like, that alone, I'm like, I'd pay $1,000 just for that. And P.S., I'll put the link in the chat or in the description so you guys can gain access to that. And I'll repeat the link here later. But like what you're talking about, Isar, is like it's so freaking simple, but so powerful, because it allows us, for somebody like me, to come at it and present base level solution or like base level problems and get really comprehensive solutions just by changing the way I think about the tool, which is super interesting.
And I'll say something. You said something that a lot of people feel. It's like, oh my God, how come I don't know this? And the FOMO is like insane. Like everybody's doing AI and I don't really even know how to get started. I speak in a lot of conferences. I go on stage, 200 people, 300 people, 500 people. I ask the same questions at the beginning of every single presentation that I give. I ask people to put themselves in one of 4 buckets, right? Total beginner. I kind of know what it is. I played a little bit with ChatGPT, but nothing for business. The next bucket is I have 1 or 2 processes in the business that I'm already using AI. And the fourth one is like a lot of my business is running through very well-defined AI processes. 85% of the people in every conference I go to, the last one was 2 weeks ago, are in the first bucket. And it blows my mind. I'm like, yeah, how can this be? Like, this is magic. Like, it's really, and I use it every single day across multiple things, and I still think it's magic. Like, it does things that make absolutely no sense, that should cost 1,000x what they cost. And it's right. Each and every one of these tools is $10 to $30 a month. And it saves you hundreds of hours and can get you more clients while doing less work. And people are like, well, that's not possible. I'm like, well, it is possible. I see what people are doing with it. And so don't be afraid that you're late for the game. Like you said in the beginning, the game haven't even started yet. Like 85% of business leaders have not done anything business related with this technology. And so and forget about me. The number one thing, whether you take my course or somebody else's course, or just find other ways to educate yourself, understand how these tools work, what business benefits they can provide, and build a strategy around it. So one of the biggest mistakes that people do is like, oh, I can use this writing tool to write blog posts for me, so that's what I'm going to do. Okay, cool. Is that going to change your business? No. So what is going to change your business? Understanding what these tools can do and understanding how that may impact your customers, what they'd be interested to buy, or more importantly, what they're not going to be interested to buy from you a year and a half from now, because they'll be able to do it for $20 a month.
Right.
And then changing your actual business strategy, the structure of the business, the people you hire to fit this new thing. And now from there, figure out which tools, what processes, like any other proper business change. Only the temptation here to do one-off little things in the business is very tempting because the tools are there. So I'm a very firm believer when I do my consulting to do both at the same time, do the top down and the bottom up. So you get quick wins, you get benefits, but also do the strategic evaluation and try to figure out where your business could be going or where it shouldn't be going because of where this technology is doing. That would be my best recommendation for your audience.
Yeah. And that, oh man, because I got in the block. I mentioned this to you earlier. I got into the blockchain space really early on when I was broke. It was just super hypey, really intriguing me because I was lucky because it was a guy who lived down the street from me who launched one of the first cryptocurrencies, right?
Oh,
and so he was like explaining it to me. The kid's a total dork, still is. And like anything that comes out of his mouth is over my head. And I consider myself a pretty intelligent person. So it's kind of embarrassing sometimes when they talk. And I'm like, I'm lost. I'm completely lost. And half the time, I don't think they even know what they're talking about. I think they're just saying hypey words. But my point is like, people still, even now, people are like, oh, the blockchain, like crypto is dead, right? And you're like, you're an idiot. Just watch. We're going to have another split. It's going to spike again. And people are going to be like, oh, yeah, I'm pretty cool. It's the same thing with real estate. People have done this for decades, right? People have been like, oh, real estate's so easy. It's the greatest place to go. And all of a sudden we have this crash. And I can't say so, a lot of these things not getting blocked, but over the next year, there's going to be big bad thingies that are going to make it so that you lose a lot of value in real estate, right? But then everybody's going to go, real estate's a scam. Same thing with AI, right? Where I'm like beating myself for not getting on this faster now that you're saying this, where I'm like, I'm missing the boat, freaking missing the boat. I got to get on the ship. So interesting to me. Like this, the way that you're explaining is helping me even understand more. This is why I wanted you to come on here, right? Is like helping me understand better how to leverage this in a way that, you know, it could tell me how to leverage it, right? I don't even have to like try and figure out use cases. I can be like, hey, this is what I'm trying to accomplish long term. What questions should I be asking you, right? Like that's really what we're trying to figure out, is like leveraging this as a consultant.
Yeah.
Because that's how, like when I hired an ops consultant, that's the exact same thing I did. Is I'm like, guys, I'm just ops stupid. So please explain to me what I need to ask you and what needs to happen here, right?
Yep.
Anyways, just crazy. Absolutely crazy. Do you have any final thoughts for my audience before we hop off here today?
I think we touched on a lot of important things. I think, listen, I have a list and I will shoot it out like I do 2-hour presentations about what I'm going to do in 20 seconds. But it's an important list, especially, you know, it's like a New Year resolution kind of thing, right? We're coming up on 2024. The 8 things you must do in order to have your business use AI successfully in 2024. Number 1, continuous education. Find the people to follow. So it doesn't have to be leveraging AI, my podcast, but find people to follow. I highly recommend it, by the way. Shameless plug. But find people to follow that are in the space, that are sharing practical knowledge. Read, research, follow the news. So continuous education. The second one is set up a committee in your company, an AI committee. People that will be committed to continuously learning and educating other people and defining the do's and don'ts in the company, so you don't shoot yourself in the foot, or one of your employees does because nobody defined what they shouldn't do with AI. So that's the second thing. And I'm now shooting off the top of my head without a presentation. But the third thing is you want to start doing evaluations. And there's 3 tiers of evaluations, and we kind of talked about it, right? You have the strategy evaluation of how is this going to impact my industry and my business and my customers, and hence what I should change. You have the second evaluation is the HR evaluation. What skills are you missing? And can you reskill some of your employees, or should you hire for those missing skills? And the third evaluation you need to do is what I said is low-hanging fruits. That's the tactical stuff. What can I do tomorrow that's going to save me tens of hours every single week in my business? So these are the evaluations. The next thing you want to do is you want to encourage AI usage in your business. So some are solopreneurs. Okay, encourage yourself. but some are like there's other people. So how do you encourage other people? You share that on the all hands every single week. You share wins of stuff that's happening. The next thing is having a plan. Develop an actual plan. By the end of 2024, we want to achieve 1, 2, 3, 4 with AI. And then break that back down to what needs to happen in Q3 and Q2 and Q1 and in the first week of the year. And define very clear KPIs that are AI implementation related. But don't say, oh, my KPIs at the end of the year, I want to save 20% on my marketing expense. Say, by the end of January, I want to have an AI committee in my business. And by the end of February, I want them to recommend 3 different things that we need to do in the business. Okay, now you have leading KPIs that you can actually look at to do that.
Right. So good.
2 more recommendations. One is you want to have a shared resource for all the successful prompt. It's called a prompt library. So you interact with all these tools through prompting. You tell them, okay, I want you to do this and that. It's a prompt. You will get better and better as an organization in prompting. People will start through education, finding other people that are doing really cool things and copying their prompts. You don't want every person in the organization or every time you do something to reinvent the prompt. If there's a prompt that does something very, very well on a specific platform, save it in a shared place that everybody can use. Because now everybody's at that level versus kind of like winging it. And 2, you get consistent outcome, which as a business, you have to get consistent outcome because otherwise It's not a business. And the last thing that I would say, and it's maybe counterintuitive until I explain it, is focus on human relationships. You're like, okay, what does that have to do with AI? It has to do with AI so that sometime 2 years from now, everybody will be able to do everything pretty freaking well because AI will do all the day-to-day grunt work for us and it will do it pretty freaking well. So what's going to differentiate you? What's going to differentiate you is your ability to build strong, real, deep human relationships. So
I'm in the
go
right
to trade
business.
shows, meet with people, shake hands, create your own events, run masterminds, like whatever it is that will allow you to meet actual people that are from your ecosystem will make you be ahead and have an edge over people who are just going to leverage AI. That's it.
So powerful. So powerful. Guys, go write those down. There were 7 things there. You said 8, but they'll have to go buy your course or listen to your podcast to get the 8th one. Because you totally just spitballed that. I'm the kind of guy. I'm like, I have a framework for everything, but I always forget 2 of the 5 points. So I'm all about that. Like, there's 5 points. If you want to hear the rest, go buy my stuff.
Exactly.
And I don't do that intentionally because I forgot what it was.
Same here.
But, so guys, that ChatGPT could do that for you. It could be your brain for you. So guys, just once again, go buy this course. I mean, such a low cost way for you to be able to literally save a ton of money, make a bunch of new money, and do it without having to go hire a bunch of people and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on coaching like I have. You don't want to do that. It's expensive and it's annoying half the time, truthfully. So once again, guys, go to multiplai.ai/AI course. And you can use the promo code Titan to get $100 off on this program. And I'm going to spell multiple AI just in case some of you are going like, how do I spell this? It's multiplai.ai. Okay. So make sure you guys go check that out. The link is in the description as well. So you guys can just click on that and head straight over. Make sure to use the promo code Titan. That also helps us to see on our side if this is the right sort of stuff for you guys. So make sure that you guys use that code, get the money off, $100 off, and then go deep dive into that course. So Isar, man, I literally have a full page of notes. That very rarely happens anymore. So thank you for that. Really appreciate you coming on here, man. And can I get you to give us just one final parting piece of guidance for our audience?
Sure. So first of all, thank you. This was a great conversation and you asked all the right questions to help me give you the right answers. I will say 2 big things. Don't be afraid of it because you haven't left, the train hasn't left the station. We can't access your video. What the frick? Oh, I'm back. I don't know. That was weird. So those of you listening, we had a video glitch. We had a video glitch. So but we're all good. So the train didn't leave the station. It's not too late. It's very early in the game. Don't be afraid. Jump in and start experimenting. So that would be the second tip. The second tip is the best way to learn is to try stuff out. So first thing, don't be afraid. Second thing, I said that educate yourself and then just try stuff out. Like take the free ChatGPT, take the free Anthropic. It's free. Play with it. Try things, see what it does. Create images with DALL-E 3, create videos with Runway, create audio with 11 Labs. Like there's so many tools that do insane things. Create videos of yourself speaking to an audience based on a text that you didn't generate and you're not in the video and there's zero cameras with tools like HeyGen. Like there's the stuff that you can do is mind-blowing. Just go and try it out and then figure out how can it apply for your business.